What is an internal audit in ISO 27001? Many organizations treat internal audit as a pre-certification rehearsal, a quick check before the real auditors arrive. ISO 27001 has a more substantive view. Clause 9.2 requires organizations to conduct planned internal audits of their ISMS to verify two things: that the ISMS conforms to the organization's own requirements and to the requirements of the standard, and that the ISMS is effectively implemented and maintained. This is not a one-time activity, but an ongoing program that provides management with independent assurance about how the ISMS is really performing. Let us explore what that means in practice. Let us start with the purpose of internal audit in ISO 27001 and understand what a properly designed audit program looks like. The internal audit program must be planned, risk-based, and designed to verify that the ISMS conforms to requirements and is effectively implemented and maintained across all relevant areas. The first purpose of internal audit is conformance verification, checking that the ISMS meets both the requirements of ISO 27001 and the policies and procedures the organization has defined for itself. This dual conformance check is important because an ISMS can satisfy the standard's requirements on paper while failing to operate, as the organization's own documented procedures describe. Internal audit must test both dimensions. Effective implementation is harder to verify than conformance on paper. An access control policy may be documented and technically compliant with Clause 8.5.15, but if reviews are never conducted, exceptions are never resolved, and accounts are never removed when staff leave, the control is not effectively implemented. Internal audit must go beyond document review to verify that controls are actually operating as described in the day-to-day reality of the organization. A risk-based audit program allocates audit effort proportionate to the importance and risk profile of the areas being examined. High-risk processes, areas where previous audits found significant nonconformities, recently implemented controls, and processes that have undergone significant change all warrant more frequent and more intensive audit coverage. A well-designed program documents the rationale behind its scheduling decisions, creating transparency about why certain areas receive more attention than others. Each individual audit within the program must have defined criteria, the requirements against which the audit will assess the evidence. Criteria may include specific ISO 27001 clauses, the organization's own policies, or both. Scope defines the boundaries of what the audit will cover. Frequency reflects the risk assessment and the audit program design. Methods describe how evidence will be collected through document review, interviews, observation, or technical testing. Auditor objectivity and impartiality are non-negotiable requirements in Clause 9.2. The person responsible for a control or process must not be the person who audits it, because self-assessment creates an irresolvable conflict of interest. For organizations where this creates practical challenges, particularly smaller organizations with limited staff, the solutions include cross-functional audit arrangements, bringing in external auditors for specific areas, or participating in mutual audit programs with industry peers. Now let us examine what internal auditors look for as evidence of an effective ISMS, how findings are documented, and how the corrective action process connects to audit results. Audit findings must be documented and reported to relevant management, with nonconformities triggering corrective actions. The audit process itself differs from the external certification audit in both purpose and approach. Audit findings only have value when they reach the people with authority to act on them. Clause 9.2 requires that results are reported to relevant management without undue delay. This reporting obligation ensures that weaknesses identified during the audit are not buried in an audit file, but are elevated to the level where decisions about corrective action can be made. The audit report should be clear, factual, and sufficiently specific to enable management to understand the nature, significance, and required response for each finding. When an internal audit identifies a nonconformity, a failure to meet a requirement, it triggers the corrective action process defined in Clause 10.2. The corrective action process requires more than fixing the immediate problem. It requires analysis of the root cause to prevent recurrence. The connection between Clause 9.2 findings and Clause 10.2 corrective actions creates the accountability loop that makes internal audit a genuine driver of improvement rather than merely a documentation exercise. Internal auditors collect evidence through multiple methods. Document review examines policies, procedures, records, and logs to verify that required activities are documented and that records exist as evidence of their occurrence. Interviews with process owners and staff test whether documented procedures are understood and followed in practice. Observation of activities in progress provides direct evidence of how controls operate. Technical testing verifies that configurations and technical controls are implemented as documented. The internal audit and the certification audit serve related but distinct purposes. The internal audit is conducted by the organization itself to provide management with assurance and to identify opportunities for improvement before external scrutiny arrives. The certification audit is conducted by an accredited external body to determine whether the organization merits certification against the standard. Internal auditors have the authority and mandate to recommend remediation before external auditors arrive, making internal audit a critical preparation tool as well as an ongoing assurance mechanism. The results of internal audits are a mandatory input to the management review required by Clause 9.3. This connection ensures that audit findings are considered at the strategic governance level and not just resolved at the operational level. Management review creates the forum in which top management can assess whether audit findings reveal systemic weaknesses, whether the audit program itself is adequate, and whether additional resources or changes to the ISMS are needed in response to what the audits have found. Let us compare the internal audit and the external certification audit to understand how they differ in purpose, authority, and what they mean for the organization. The internal audit is conducted by the organization itself, using its own auditors or contracted support. Its purpose is to provide management with an objective view of ISMS conformance and effectiveness so that weaknesses can be identified and addressed. Internal auditors operate continuously throughout the year as part of the audit program, and their findings drive the corrective action cycle that keeps the ISMS improving. The certification audit is conducted by an accredited third-party certification body. Its purpose is to determine whether the organization meets the requirements of ISO 27001 and merits certification. The certification auditor has no mandate to help the organization improve. They assess and report. A successful certification audit is the product of effective internal auditing, not a substitute for it. Let us consolidate the essential points from our exploration of internal audit in ISO 27001. If you want to design and conduct internal audits that genuinely strengthen your ISMS and prepare you for certification, our complete Udemy course provides audit program templates, checklists, and step-by-step implementation guidance. Enroll today. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.